Maybe 2 seconds.
Okay. We're going nowhere.
No.
Okay, it's time to begin our regularly scheduled Baxter City Council meeting. We welcome you if you're listening or paying attention to what's going on. We welcome you. This time we will have a roll call.
Councilmember Cross.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Licio.
Here.
Councilmember Tabbitt.
Here.
Mayor Olson.
Here. Thank you. It looks like we're all present and accounted for. At this time, I'd ask you to rise to recite the pledge to the flag with us, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next thing, State Administrator, are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
There are no additions to the agenda.
Very good. Any public comments?
We received none.
Okay, so we'll move ahead with the consent agenda. The following items are considered non-controversial by staff and are recommended to be read and passed in one motion. Any council person, staff member, citizen or meeting attendee can request one or more items be pulled from the consent agenda, and the item will be pulled and addressed immediately after the passage of the consent agenda. Otherwise, the following items will be passed in one motion. A, approve the city council minutes from May 19th, 2020. B, approve city council special minutes from May 27th, 2020. C, approve the payment of bills and finance report. D, approve appointments to the seasonal position of park attendant. E, approve the $4,300 purchase of investigative equipment from the drug forfeiture fund. F, appoint Mr. Bach Andrews and Mr. Tony DeVries Flink to the streets and utilities maintenance position. G, accept the Long Range Planning Commission minutes from May 26, 2020. H, accept the Parks and Trails Commission minutes from May 26, 2020. I, approve hiring of one additional Parks and Trails maintenance seasonal position. J, approve the $1,700 purchase of equipment from the drug forfeiture fund, along with donations from American Steel and Home Depot for the construction of K9 equipment. K, approve appointment to the seasonal position of streets and utilities maintenance. L, adopt ordinance 20-20, 20-20-004, and summary ordinance 2020-005, amending the city code, chapter 3, liquor control. M, approve amended liquor license for Prairie Bay to include liquor sales in an outdoor patio through June 30th, 2020.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Cross,
Second.
second by Holman. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
I'm sorry about that.
We'll get it straight someday. It'll be when we go to open or when we're back in person.
But it doesn't matter, I'll get it.
Councilmember Cross.
Aye.
Holman.
Yes.
Licio.
Yes.
Tabbitt.
Yes.
Mayor Olson.
Yes. Okay, other business. 8A, community entrance design revision.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, this is a request for a revised plan for the community entrance project. If the council will recall, the city council approved a community entrance project as part of a parks improvement plan that was approved by the city council for the Paris Road cul-de-sac area where it abuts Highway 371. When the city prepared for construction of this project for the summer, we had sent out applications for review and approval by the Department of Natural Resources and MnDOT. MnDOT, because we're adjacent to the Highway 371 right-of-way, and the DNR because this is the Paul Bunyan Trail corridor. And while both agencies were favorable of the plan that the council originally approved, the DNR did just offer more questions related to the maze plan. If the council will recall, basically off the north end of the cul-de-sac, we had a plan for a fence maze situation that provided ADA accessibility while at the same time restricting motorized traffic through the area. And, you know, the general comments were that, you know, the DNR sometimes has to restrict motorized traffic as well. And they've typically done that successfully through the use of bollards. And so they just questioned why we wouldn't be able to do that with the plan. So the city took the opportunity based on those comments to just have another look by ADA experts through both MnDOT and through another engineering company. And we did receive feedback that if bollards were spaced at 42 inches or 3.5 feet apart from outside of bollard to outside of bollard, that would still meet ADA accessibility with the project. And so the city took the opportunity, as it would be a potential cost savings for the project. And through the process of the Parks Commission review and through the council, there were some, I think, hesitation, at least staff got the sense there was hesitation about the fence part of the project. And so in front of you for your consideration tonight is a revised plan that basically removes the maze and adds kind of a boulevard middle area through the trail. And if you can see right off of the where the boulders face perpendicular to the trail, there's some bollards placed at 42 inches apart to allow two-way traffic of bicycles, while at the same time restricting that motorized traffic, which was always part of the project. So we brought that forward to the Parks and Trails Commission at their last meeting. They recommended approval of the project, and so the Parks Commission is recommending approval and looking for council's consideration of this revision to the entrance plan. I guess lastly, I would just add that the city's ready to move forward with completing the project here in the next month or so if the council moves forward with the revision. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Council questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll look for a motion. Motion by Holman.
Your Honor, yeah, I'd make a motion, and that if there are any overages or leftover funds, which it sounded like there might, I think this is a cost savings with this design, that we take a serious look at potentially using that to design the mirror for this on the other side of the highway. That's a developing higher use. It certainly will be once our Sewer Water Street project is complete. That same level of accessibility and the conflict exists over there too. It'd be nice to move forward with the design, but I move approval of the change in the design.
Okay, motion by Holman, second by
Second.
Alessio. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ross,
Aye.
Holman,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Second point of business, 8B, the city hunting map.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a request for a revision to the hunting map. And typically the council sees a request for amendments to the hunting map closer to September, generally in August, actually, is when we typically bring our annual revisions forward to the hunting map. And we still may come back again, potentially depending on any requests we receive prior to the fall hunting season. But since this was a request for hunting specifically related to bears, wanted to bring this application forward with the idea that if approved, the property owner might have the opportunity to apply for permits. I think after doing some further checking that time period has may pass, but specifically the request is to allow bow hunting on a property north of Clearwater Road. It's off of Atwater as well. And the property is on the screen and surrounded by the blue box. It's 40 acres. So we're basically east of White Sand and southeast of Red Sand Lake on the north side of Clearwater. And that 40 acres, you can see what assembles, what looks to be an assemblage of lots and related to a subdivision. And you can see kind of some clear cutting that follows extension of road corridors. That was done at a time when the property was planned for subdivision of single family homes. Since then, that development never moved forward, and the property was purchased all by one property owner. So all of the lots on the Clearwater Road side on the south end are all part of the same ownership as the larger piece to the north. And there's one house on the property kind of in the northeast corner that you can barely see the box of in the aerial photo. And the property owner has developed a hobby farm on the property. So they've got orchards and various plantings that they have on the property for passive hobby farm recreational reasons. And they have been having troubles with bears and have requested the ability to bow hunt on the property. They requested actually the ability to do all different types of hunting, but staff recommendation was for consideration of bow hunting, as the property is surrounded by subdivisions on other sides. But when we've looked at revisions to the hunting map before, we have considered properties that are of a larger acreage and size for the possibility of hunting, bow hunting specifically, even in our urban areas where you've got enough buffer to neighboring lots. And so with that, staff brought the request as submitted by the property owners forward to the Long Range Planning Commission. They did recommend in support of changing the hunting map for the subject property to allow bow hunting on the subject property. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Council questions or comments? Let's see. Cross?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Cross,
Second.
second by Tabbitt. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Cross,
Aye.
Holman,
Yes.
DCO,
yes,
Tabbitt,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Moving on, 8C, approve the delaying of the 2021 Inglewood Drive Railroad Crossing and associated roadway improvements. Is that you, Brad, or Trevor, or who's that?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm going to turn it over to our contracted project engineer, Peter Lemke. He is here with us from Bolton and Mink, and it was his memo that you guys have in your packet tonight. So I'll turn it over to Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. As Trevor said, I'm Pete Lemke from Bolton and Mink, and back in February, we were awarded the project for the 2021 Inglewood Drive railway crossing and related road reconstruction project. And at that time, we weren't really talking about anything related to COVID-19. When we started this project, we were moving forward. And over the past couple of months, there's been some things that maybe would lead us to have some conversations on our team about delaying the project. And we met with internally and with MnDOT last week, or actually the week before, and our conversations revolved around our coordination with BNSF Railroad was being delayed a bit because of travel and meeting restrictions here in Minnesota. And then even in the state of Texas, where the consultant that BNSF Railroad requires you to use, that's where they're traveling from. And in addition to that, due to COVID-19, we are having trouble getting traffic counts that would be suitable for justifying or warranting a traffic signal at these areas, or actually at the Inglewood Drive project. And then even getting some of the more detailed traffic, which would allow us to identify turn lane lengths and where we need, how we place our lane configurations on the crossing and things like that. In addition to that, we have the city of the MnDOT 210 study, the corridor study that they're working on this summer, and they hope to wrap that up yet in 2020. And coming out of that, there may be recommendations which influence traffic near at Inglewood Drive or other areas on the project. Then also related to that, we're updating the feasibility report. And along with that feasibility report, we're developing some assessment strategies, or just how are we going to assess these properties, and even how are we going to lay out utilities as we make the improvements to this area. And coming out of those discussions, we know that we're going to have public meetings and talk with the neighborhood, and specifically the neighborhood south of Foley Road. And so we feel that having those public meetings, having those interactions and public engagement is going to be difficult with some of the meeting restrictions related to COVID-19. So based on that, we developed that memo and are asking the city, or recommending to the city, that we delay that project for, I think it's approximately 4 months is probably the delay we need. But that would move construction from 2021 to 2022. And with that, so that's the question in front of the council tonight. And with that, I'll just answer any questions you might have.
Council questions, comments, Holman?
Just a question about, does the funding stay intact? The state funding that was dedicated, are we still okay? Timeline, if we move back, that portion of the funding stays correct or stays with the project?
It will. Mayor, council members, we've had conversations, and actually Kelvin Howison from MnDOT District 3 State Aid, he's been involved in these conversations. And coming out of the direction of council tonight, based on our recommendation, we would provide the state a letter. And then what Kelvin has told us is he will be able to move that money. He is sympathetic to the issues we're running into. And so, yes.
Anybody else? So 2021 is out of the question based on what all has to be done yet in 2020. Is that what you're saying there?
Yes, for construction, I think is the best way to say it, Mayor, is in order to get construction done with the railroad and stuff, it's going to have to be pushed to 2022. It takes anywhere from 12 to 18 months with the railroad, and we were on a pretty tight timeline to begin with the railroad for 2021 to be done in the fall of 2021. So right now, if we don't get back with the railroad until September, October of this year, it's going to take that another 12 to 18 months from then, which then puts us into the next construction season. Now, that being said, maybe it's like Cypress Drive, where possibly start construction, some construction in 2021, but I don't think so. I think it's best to do it all in 1 year.
Okay, Holman?
Your Honor, council, and maybe Trevor, there was also another parallel kind of project that we talked about, I think in workshop, and that was the silent crossing. And I think, if I remember right, the intent was that silent crossing would kind of be the next year, the 2022 year, if my memory serves correctly. Is it possible that the crossing construction in 22 and the silent crossing could all kind of go together then with that project, or is that completely separated and uncoupled?
It's separated, but yet it goes together. Yes, it could be possible yet to pull that project off in 2022 we haven't looked at that for funding yet, with a 5-year CIP plan. But that was the goal when we talked about it, was to have that as once that crossing was done, is then finish the silent railroad crossing and get no horns in Baxter after 2022. So I think it's still possible to run the two projects in 2022, but I just caution on the funding. Where are we going to be at with funding and stuff?
Anybody else? Just know it, it's probably unavoidable. The further it goes, the more expensive it gets, as happens. But if it's unavoidable, it is. I was in reading the memo. We talked about the problem that the virus has caused are so far-reaching, and so that to even get a reasonable traffic study count, that wasn't viable this year because of the people staying home, working at home, school buses not running, so on and so forth. And so it actually plays a detrimental part in this project also. It's just very, very far reaching. Anybody else have anything to add? Seeing none, we'll look for an agenda, a motion to move that back.
I'll move to approve delaying the project.
Okay, motion by Tabbitt.
Second.
Second by Cross. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Cross,
Aye.
Holman,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Davitt,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes. Seeing nothing else, we'll move on to council comments. Council member Licio.
Just choosing to focus on positive and good things, just in our corner of the state here in Baxter. With the opening or reopening more of the business yesterday, there was such a positive feeling and outlook, and I made it a point to go around to many different places, and so many smiles, so much conversation, so much willingness to abide by the changes, wearing your mask and trying to talk through the mask, but you could tell people were laughing and smiling, and it was just really uplifting. And you talk about working at home, but what I've noticed too is in my walking around, so many folks have been working on their homes. I mean, the yards are looking incredible, and the houses and the trimming, and it was really uplifting for me yesterday. Again, just talking about our area. And I want to thank Chief Ekstead too, knowing that there's been extra burden and stress placed on him and his department. I just want to know I appreciate them so much.
Yes. Councilmember Tabbitt.
I just wanted to encourage people to support the Laundry Cares initiative that we signed on to as a city. Just thought that they're really doing a great job of turning what could be a very negative and is a very negative situation into as positive one as possible with the way they've done the branding and the face mask and other additional tools that they've created to help people do a good job of having the area be putting its best foot forward for visitors and doing its best to balance getting businesses open and safety. I just was really impressed with the overall effort that went on, and have even personally ordered some of their face masks as my show of support myself. So I think that's a really good initiative.
Mm-hmm. Great, I agree. Holman.
I agree with the former council members' statements, and I don't have anything to add.
Okay, Councilmember Cross.
Yeah, I agree with, I'm going to say previous council members, because there hasn't been an election yet. And I have to agree with Connie. My hardware credit card has certainly taken a hit over the last 8 weeks. So we've had lots of projects we've been working on. But yes, it's good to see that things are opening and people are taking advantage of it and getting out there and supporting the businesses. Thanks.
I don't want to be redundant, but and Brad will probably address the numbers of restaurants, so on and so forth. But I drove up and down the corridor to all of the restaurants that had made application, and it was just to Connie's comment, everybody was happy. They were under their umbrellas. They were, I said, it looked like the state fair. I mean, there was all this real carnival type atmosphere, and every restaurant had people, and they seemed to really be enjoying themselves. And so I want to thank the staff for expediting that. All those people that came in were turned around in one day, and they were ready to go. And so I appreciate all the extra effort there too, and I'm sure they do also. I also want to echo thanks to the police chief, and there was some scary moments, this week with what was going on and what may still happen. But to all of our police officers statewide, just respect for them and our prayers with them. They're living in really perilous, dangerous times right now, and we need to remember them too. And also, I'm probably echoing maybe what Tabit said too, but once again, thank our residents for being great participants. And I know that they're not happy about everything that's happening, but we really haven't had I drove down to Whipple Beach the other day when it was 80 some degrees, and the place I saw the parking lot was just packed, and I thought, oh boy. But I went on down there, and at least at the time that I was there, people were distancing. They were at picnic tables in groups on the beach itself. They were laying on their blankets, but they were a long ways away from each other. And it was like, boy, they've taken this to heart. Number one, I'm sure they don't want the beach, closed down. So it seems like they certainly that day, they were really respecting that and enjoying themselves too. So I appreciate people stepping up to that and helping us with those serious situations, really. So I don't have anything more, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Just 3 quick items. The first one has been discussed through the comment section of the agenda. The city did receive 7 permit applications for temporary outdoor dining, and we did review each of those and provided permits for each for the 7 businesses, those being El Tequila, Pancho and Lefties, 371 Diner, Prairie Bay, Boulder Tap House, El Loro, and Baxter Cafe. The turnaround in each of those were just over 24 hours for each one. So I want to appreciate and give the thanks to the staff for being able to turn that around. Secondly, tonight was originally scheduled to have our annual MS4 annual report and presentation. That has been rescheduled for the next council meeting on June 16th. And then lastly, with the governor's phase 2 of the stay safe related order, it provided inclusion of some social distancing and hygiene guidelines related to parks, and in particular into recreational programming. So working with School District 181 to weed through the information to make a determination as to how that impacts our rec programming, and we'll make recommendation to the council at our June 16th meeting. With that being said, we have been the Baxter Baseball Association has reached out to inquire about use of the ball diamonds for practice to be done in guidance with the CDC guidelines. So we'll continue to have conversation with them, and provided that all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed by the association, would anticipate that they will be practicing within our ball diamonds sometime here in the next 7 to 8 days. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, City Attorney.
No report.
Great. Well, at this point, then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion across.
Second.
Second by Tabit. Roll call.
Cross,
Aye.
Holman,
Yes.
Licio,
Yes.
Tabit,
Yes.
and Olson.
Yes. Thanks again, everybody, for everything that you're doing. Stay safe yourselves, and we'll see you again. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye.